Hi everyone, Liz Holterhouse here from OBX for Sale, powered by Keller Williams, and I'm back today to continue our buyer agent series that we started a few weeks ago. We have thus far talked about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit with the Department of Justice and the changes that have come out of that nationwide. Not too many changes in North Carolina, but yet there are some. And we've talked about when to hire a buyer's agent and why a buyer agent matters. So we talked about why it's important to hire a buyer agent sooner rather than later. And it's okay to hire a buyer agent even if you're not sure if you're ever going to purchase anything, because that's part of the process, is the education process that goes into the buying process or the buying journey. So today what we're going to talk about is you've decided, you've dreamed about this for a long time, you want to own a second home on the Outer Banks, or maybe you're looking to relocate here and buy your primary home. You've decided to hire an agent. You've decided who that agent's going to be. We hope that it's us at OBX for Sale. What's next? What is that? What does that process look like? And for us, as you're making this decision, it's like let the searching begin. And so what we do is we will do a buyer consult, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about establishing a budget. And what is your budget? You've got what you qualify for, but your budget is what you're comfortable with. Oftentimes people will be qualified for a lot more than what they're comfortable with spending on their first second home, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a budget, whether you're going to pay cash or whether you're going to finance the property. And then we are then going to talk to you about why it is really important to hire a local lender. And just like everything else, is the area is coastal property, it has some quirks, and it's got flood insurance, and it has CAMA, and it has water frontages and wetlands and things like that. And those are not complications or issues that you would find in the middle of Richmond or your home in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or DC or wherever it is that you call home. But to us, those are everyday things. But to an underwriter or a mortgage broker back in your hometown, those things sound really foreign to them. So for the purpose of saving time, managing your stress, things like that, you're better off in the process if you stick with local vendors all the way around, and your local lender is definitely one of the most important ones. Also, the reason a local lender is important is because the lender is the one that orders our appraisal, and appraisers have to be pre-screened or pre-qualified with the lender. And so if you use a lender that is out of area and they don't have appraisers in their network here, it can slow the process down, it can cause the process to come to a halt, and it can cost you a lot more money. So again, one of the reasons for hiring a local lender is to reduce the stress load, manage time, and also to save you money. And as a buyer agent, our biggest responsibility to you is our fiduciary responsibility to you. And I take that serious, and every step of the way that we can guide you into saving money, that's an important part of our job, I feel. So once we get you in front of a local lender and you've got your pre-qualification and you've got your budget determined, it's time to start looking. When you're ready for the pre-qualification, we can refer you to 2 or 3 local lenders. Usually they're mortgage brokers, because they have so many products and so many programs that fit almost everyone's needs. Versus like just going to a bank or just going to your big banks like a Wells Fargo or that type of thing. So usually there's a program for everyone, and the rates and the programs and the closing costs are more competitive. So once we get through all of that, our next step is to start putting you on auto listing notifications. And we do this in what we call the Collab Center or Collaboration Center in our local MLS. And I can go in there after we've determined your criteria and put in searches for you. I can put in multiple searches for you. And so what happens when a listing hits the market, even if it happens to go live at 11:35 at night and everyone's in bed, that listing is going to get automatically emailed to you and to me. So we're not going to miss anything that meets your criteria. Also, what I love about the Collab Center is we can, spouses can both get email addresses. If it's a family affair going in on buying a house, multiple people, 3, 4 people can be on that Collab Center. And then I can also see stuff on that Collab Center. So if you have favorited a listing, I can go in and look at it. I can then go do additional research on that listing and share it with you through the Collab Center. I can send notes or messages through the Collab Center to you, and I can also add lists of property that I think you should consider and give you the reasons why. So like, for instance, if I see a house that is just a great value, it's within your budget range, it ticks most of your boxes, and it's got great rental income on it, and that's really your number one goal is rental income, I can add that to the Collab Center with notes and stuff so you can go in and see what I've done. Part of that buyer consultation and getting you in front of a lender and getting you pre-qualified is also determining your criteria. And what this means is your wants, your needs, and your priorities. You may love duck, but in the end of the day, if your priorities are rental income and a specific price point and location to the ocean, and that formula doesn't work in duck, then it's helpful to know if you are only duck or if you're open to go to other areas like Kitty Hawk or Kill Devil Hills or Corolla, that type of thing. So having a conversation about that, the wants and the needs and your criteria, what you would love to have for your family is one thing. Also learning what the wants and the needs are of the renters that are going to be renting your house. If you're going to use it as an investment, understanding that magical formula is also very important for your success going forward. So our job is always to help educate you. You may come to me and say, I've got a small family, I'm okay with a 3-bedroom house, but oftentimes they're hard to find. You might want a 3-bedroom house, but you want a pool and you want to be close to the ocean and all the things, where a 5-bedroom house is really going to perform better than a 3-bedroom house. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes. So we're going to hear what you say, obviously, but then also point out that this is why you may want to consider this, and go through examples, true examples, rental projections, amenities that attract renters, things like that. And then we'll help finalize that list of criteria and set up your search. And it's really the prioritization that takes place at the end of that conversation is important, because those are the details that are going to go into your search, and they matter because you don't want to miss anything. And oftentimes what we'll do is we'll start with a broader search, and then as you continue to redefine your priorities or areas, or you say that area is just not for me, I'm not feeling it, or yeah, you're right, I don't want a 3 or 4 bedroom home, I really want a 5 or 6 bedroom home, we will narrow your criteria down in the Collab Center, which is going to reduce the amount of listings that you get, but that's okay. That's part of the process. The other thing that we can do, when you see a listing that you like, it's interesting to you, for whatever reason, you can share it with me. You can email it to me and say, I'd really like to know more about this house. What are the expenses of this home? How much rental income is it making? I can then go in and pull the rental history and give you some actual numbers. If there are not actual numbers available, let's say the home's never been a rental house, those are attractive because they are usually in such great condition and well cared for, but we don't know what that rental income is, right? And to some people that's scary, but it shouldn't be, because just like creating a sales price through sold comps, we can create a rental projection through rental comps essentially. So we can go into neighborhoods, go to rental companies that have homes in and around your area, and get two or three different companies to give us projections on what the rental income would be in that house. And that's super helpful. And then we can take all of that information that we've gathered, all of the expenses, all of the income, and we can put it into a cash flow analysis and give you an idea of how the property is cash flowing. Is there going to be an out of pocket, and how much that out of pocket is going to be? Most of our homes do have an out of pocket. These are different than a real estate investment that would be a long-term investment, where you would have a year-round tenant in there that would be paying the utilities and things like that. The cool part about a second home investment is it's tangible. You get to use it, you get to enjoy it, you get to create memories in it, but you also get to short-term rental it to help offset some of those expenses. And then there is a tax benefit to a second home as well. And I won't go into a lot of that because that is not my area of expertise. I do own an Airbnb, and I also own a long-term rental. So I know how both of those properties help me on my taxes, but everyone's situation is different. So we'll get into that as we talk one-on-one. And then if you have different questions or very specific questions about how a second home is going to affect your tax return, I'm going to send you to your accountant, because at the end of the day, he's the one that knows your finances better than anyone. He can mock up or plug in an investment property and all the numbers and kind of give you an idea as to where you would stand at the end of the year. But there are lots of tax benefits to owning a second home as well. So once we have we've gone through that, and you're super interested in a property, but you're not quite ready to come down and take a look, or you love a property but you'd like to see a little bit more about it, what we can do is we can schedule a virtual tour as well. So it's the middle of the week and you're traveling out west and you're not going to be home until next week, 10 days later. You don't want to miss a chance at seeing the home. That's okay. So what we'll do is we'll set up a virtual showing. I will go to the property and we will use FaceTime or Facebook Instant Messenger, WhatsApp, some sort of video conferencing call, and we will do a virtual showing of the house. Virtual showings, to me, take a long time. It's much faster than you walking in and scanning the property, because I'm pointing out the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that I see that are going to be maintenance issues, the things I see that were built to code at the time but are not code now, that are going to show up in a home inspection report. Because my goal is if you decide to buy this home sight unseen, that when you get here, what you saw in that camera is a true depiction of what you're going to see face to face. And it's also my goal, whether you see a property virtually or in person, is that nothing surprises us on the home inspection, unless it's just something we just could not see. It's behind the walls, or it's just something we weren't able to to diagnose, something that's on the roof, that type of thing. But my goal as we look at property, whether it's virtual or in person, is to point out all those things that you're going to see on that home inspection. And I don't like to miss anything. It's a game on challenge for me, because I really want you to look at that report and say, gosh, I was prepared for this. This is what we thought. There's no surprises here. And that's very important to me. The other part of coming on board with a buyer agent soon and getting into your searches is also learning from someone who's lived in the area for a very long time, someone that has some expert market knowledge, that watches the trends, studies the stats, all the things. And you can catch our monthly stat update on our YouTube channel as well. But also, when you start getting serious about a community or an area, Duck, Corolla, Kill Devil Hills, you want someone that can tell you whether or not that community is a seller's market, a buyer's market, or it's balanced. How much inventory is on the market? Is it 1 month? Is it 2 months? Is it 4 months? Is it 5 months? And this matters to you as a buyer. How you structure your offers in a buyer's market is very different than how you structure your offers in a seller's market. And it's very, very important that whoever you work with studies the market, looks at the hot sheet every day. Why wouldn't they? Knows what stuff is selling for. Is it selling for 100%? Is there still multiple offers out there? Are things still going over list? And how often is this happening? Are we seeing concessions on the back side? Are we seeing negotiations on the back side when stuff closes due to home inspection repairs, things like that? And these are all things that you can see in MLS, but not everyone studies them. Not everyone looks at them. And I think it's very important that before you write an offer, you talk about these trends and you know what to expect, because expectations in real estate are so important. And for a buyer who's not an expert in this area, knowing what to expect, to me, is crucial. It's absolutely crucial to your success in finding that dream home. So this is our kind of going to wrap up our what happens when you get ready to start searching. You've chosen your buyer agent, and this is kind of the first steps. And next time we are going to talk about coming down and actually looking at houses in person, and looking at neighborhoods, and actually going out to houses and seeing them in person. And we'll talk about some other things next week, but we'll keep this series going, and then we're going to find our dream home, and then we're going to go through the closing process, through the negotiation process, through the contract process, through the transaction coordination process, through the closing process, and the post-closing process. So come back each week to see yet another video in this series, and thanks for watching. And as you can see, it's a beautiful day behind me on the Outer Banks. Finally, the rain has stopped, and I just want to give a shout out to all of my co-workers, colleagues, community members across the state of North Carolina that have rallied behind Western Carolina and Tennessee. What happened out there is truly, it's just heartbreaking. The videos and the stories and the stuff I'm hearing is absolutely heartbreaking. I've seen a lot of devastation here. We recover from it very quickly. I can't imagine the horror our neighbors in Western Carolina went through. I'm very proud to be with Keller Williams and a company all across the country that has responded so quickly to that area. KW Cares is on site there, and also just the heart of my local community. We've all been through this so many times, living on the coast, and we know what it feels like. And all around me, everybody I know is organizing, donating, collecting, sorting, driving, flying supplies into Western Carolina, and it just does my heart good. I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone and let the people in Western Carolina know that we're praying for them and that we're here for them. So that's going to wrap up today's Buyer Agent series. I will see you guys again next week, and until then, have a great week.